All right, so today we're going to talk about getting an ex back who pushed you away. Well, 90% of your exes. We find that most of the people that come to our YouTube channel have been broken up with by their ex. Their ex has pushed them away. So what I'd like to do today is have an honest discussion on what's going through that ex's head when they push you away and actually what works to make them come back. And what you're going to find is really interesting about this discussion is a lot of times the timing of when you contact them and talk to them and do some of the strategies that we teach you on this YouTube channel is more important than anything else. So most of the time we're finding that our clients from an attachment perspective tend to be anxious and their exes tend to be avoidant. And this makes sense with what we've learned about attachment styles. A lot of times the anxious person will couple up with the avoidant person, and as a result that causes a lot of different friction throughout the relationship. So what I'd first like to do is, if you have an ex that's pushed you away, let's identify if they have exhibited avoidant type of behaviors. And if they have exhibited avoidant type of behaviors, they'll have done the following. Your ex will have challenges with approaching and resolving conflict, preferring to keep quiet and let things resolve themselves. They'll have challenges with talking about how you are feeling or expressing vulnerability with partners or close friends, preferring to deal with things privately. You're going to feel like you aren't sure how to respond when your partner is displaying strong emotions or seems distressed. Sometimes they're going to appear aloof or uninterested in friendship or relationship, or giving people the impression that they aren't interested. In a relationship, they're going to need a lot of personal space and time alone, and will often feel suffocated if you need to spend all of your time together with your partner. Again, this makes total sense. Most of our clients being anxious, most of their exes being avoidant. They feel suffocated because the anxious person values the relationship so highly, they almost need to be around the avoidant person all the time, which is a avoidant person's worst nightmare. As a result, they push you away. Hey there, real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. So where things get really interesting, in my opinion, with avoidant type of individuals is they actually feel extremely liberated upon a breakup at first. So they often live this constant existence where even entertaining an interaction with another person, they're anxious that that person could always hurt them. So this is the narrative that they have. But upon a breakup with this person, they're often going to feel an initial sense of relief at the relinquishing of obligations, in the sense that they are regaining their self-identity and not tending to initially miss their partner at first. In other words, they're back in control and in a safe space, which provides relief. But that initial sense of relief doesn't last forever. At around month 2 to month 4 post-breakup, assuming you haven't pestered them with any type of anxious behaviors, that's when they begin to feel depressed. Because after all, human beings do crave connection, even avoidant human beings. So this depressed feeling will manifest itself by them feeling numb, disconnected, and meaningless, which they may actually try to repress. Everybody needs that deeper connection, but often avoidants don't recognize they need their partners until the partner actually loses interest and leaves. And then I think the self-fulfilling prophecy happens. This is where, why is this always happening to me? Or, oh, this is just another thing that's happened to me again and again, when in reality they're doing it to themselves by pushing people away. But right now we're not trying to understand why they push people away. We kind of think we understand that. We're trying to understand how they're viewing this breakup with you, because that will give you insight into how you can get this person back. So the big thing that we've learned about avoidance since we started this YouTube channel is the fact that they will begin to long for their exes after they experience these roller coasters of emotion. So they'll feel liberated at first. Then after 2 to 4 months, they begin to feel depressed post-breakup. And then after that 2 to 4 months, that's when they allow themselves time to have nostalgia or long for their ex. Often, avoidance won't initiate contact with their exes, which is kind of a really difficult thing for people to hear. And they often rarely unilaterally initiate reuniting because it creates this uncomfortable feeling of vulnerability. And they can feel that they don't know how to go about fixing things. Reuniting with someone where there had been substantial hurt, so they must somehow make amends, also risks them not feeling independent or in control in a relationship initially. So, here's what we know. They feel liberated at first, then they begin to feel depressed. This depression allows them to begin to long for things the way they used to be, but the internal narrative prevents them actually from trying to reunite because they feel like they will lose their sense of self or their sense of identity or their newfound freedom if they have to apologize. So this is kind of an important thing. When you're dealing with an ex who pushed you away, the first thing you need to do is give them time. We know that. So again, they feel liberated, and then there's this 2 to 4 month period of time that needs to go by without you constantly nagging them with any kind of anxious behaviors for them to realize, I kind of feel bad about this breakup, or I miss this person. That's when the longing begins. But don't expect just because they're longing and missing you that they're going to be open to being reunited. In this odd way, the best way to handle someone like this is to make sure whatever elephant in the room, whatever narrative they have in their head is actually out in the open, so they don't feel any pressure. So a really easy way to do this is to explain to them, hey, there's no hard feelings. We're just friends. So it's kind of like purposely friend zoning yourself to them, especially if you notice that every time you try to reconnect with them, you talk to them and they're pushing you away, they retreat further and further into themselves. One of the best ways to kind of deal with this is to bring that elephant out in the room in a very light way and dispel it. Make sure that you reiterate that this isn't a big deal to you, because that will make them calm down and start to actually enjoy interactions with you. And we know this is a really off-brand thing for our clients to do. We know from a lot of research and personal experience that our clients have a huge problem with anxious behaviors. Not to say that anxious behavior is always bad. We think in some cases it can actually be good. But in this particular case, it's not good. The anxious behavior almost triggers an ex pushing you away. And it makes sense. Being with anxious people kind of creates this annoyance as well. Have you ever been in a situation where you have made it clear to another party that you are not interested in them, but they just don't get the hint and they continue on doing it? And you're just kind of like, okay, I'm going to ghost you or I'm going to push you away. Like, you're not getting the hint. This is exactly how avoidants feel, but it takes a lot less to set them off. So the first thing that's really hard for our clients is not constantly badgering an anxious ex that, hey, we want to get back together. It's giving them time. That's extremely difficult for a lot of people. And the next thing is, oftentimes, if you haven't kind of shifted your attachment style to becoming more secure and you're a lot more confident with yourself, you'll find that interacting with someone who's avoidant, which requires an immense amount of patience, can be incredibly difficult to do. So those are the two big things that we see our clients really struggling with, which is giving an ex enough time and then interacting with them in a way that you're patient, because it will take time. So other than that, if you're gonna sit here and ask me, like, Chris, is there any big strategy for avoidance? I would say there's really not. If you're dealing with an ex who's pushed you away, a lot of the strategies that we teach here, the no contact rule, the value ladder, the value chain, kind of merging those all together in the synergistic principle, it can work. The only sort of alterations you ultimately need to make is with patience and time. Like seriously, 2 to 4 months after the breakup is when your ex will actually begin to get depressed about the breakup. And this is such a hard thing for people who have anxious tendencies to wrap their head around, because almost immediately the grieving begins with an anxious person because they value that relationship so highly. And it takes a lot longer for an avoidant person to feel sad and kind of see the value of that relationship. So it's important that you understand your ex's perspective before you try anything. Now, probably the number one thing I would tell you to do if you're new to this process and you don't really know where to start is to actually go to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. It's a free, simple 2-minute quiz designed to basically tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. And if you want to take the quiz, all you have to do is simply look in the description below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. We'll take you directly to the quiz where we can get you taken care of. I'll see you guys next time.